So I'm going to explain to you the two states and which state you should be living in unless you're in the military or working for the government, okay? So first we have the Declaration of Independence, then we have Articles of Confederation, and then we have a Constitution. Now there's a Northwest Ordinance in here, but I'm not going to talk about this today. The Declaration of Independence, Articles of Confederation, and the Constitution are organic laws. They follow each other, okay? The Law of Nations by Emmerich de Vattel shows that this is how you build a nation. All three of these have to exist and work together in order to have a good government and a good union, okay? Now, hopefully you'll understand this when I'm done. So the Declaration of Independence asserts the sovereignty of the United States of America. The United States of America was created by the Articles of Confederation when all the states joined a firm league of friendship in which they acknowledged their freedom, sovereignty, and independence as states, okay? So this is one state. This is not one single state, but each state is one state which has its freedom, sovereignty, and independence from the other states, okay? So this is all lands in the United States of America, and they're divided up into states. Now, the Articles of Confederation still exist today. We know that they exist because they're acknowledged in the Constitution twice, okay? They're acknowledged in the Constitution twice. First, in the preamble, when it says a more perfect union. The union is created here, a firm league of friendship, which is the definition of confederation. The preamble of a more perfect union, and then in Article 1, or Article 2, Section 1, it states, the president is the executive officer of the United States of America. Okay, you can go look it up. It's there. It acknowledges the United States of America. Also, there's a third place where it says, in the preamble, the Constitution says, we the people of the United States do all these things for the United States of America. These are states. These are states. These are independent states. These are dependent states. The dependent states are created by the Constitution. But people tell me, but wait, the Constitution repealed the Articles of Confederation. It did not. I will tell you why it did not. Ancient law that goes back for thousands of years says if you're going to repeal a law, this new law has to say this old law is repealed. The new law did not repeal the old law. It is not in the law saying this old law is repealed. As a matter of fact, it acknowledges this law many times, and I just explained those to you. The United States of America created by the Articles of Confederation. The Constitution created the United States. We, the people of the United States, do all these things for the United States of America. Okay, these are all the lands in America, and all the lands are divided up into really big states. Some states are small, but these are big states. These are independent states, i.e. independent states. The federal lands are the smaller states created by the Constitution. In the contracts between the states and the federal government, when the states joined the Union, the United States, for defense purposes, defense with a C, not an S. The founders got it right. They knew what they were doing. Defense with an S is acknowledged in the Laws of Nation by Emmerich de Vattel, who was a Frenchman. They spelled it defense with a C because it's a French word from Old French, and it means fortification. That's what the Constitution does. It takes some lands from the states to fortify them for the states, okay? So these new states, dependent states, are fortifications for the independent states. Defense with an S is Latin, and it means vengeance. There's nothing in the Constitution that allows for vengeance. There's nothing in the Constitution that allows for defense with an S. It's all defense with a C, and it's all done on the federal lands, which altogether inside these states are called states. So state of Texas, state of Oklahoma, state of Missouri. State would be in a capital S, not a lowercase s. This would be a lowercase s. It's an independent state. This state existed first. It's free, sovereign, and independent. This is a small state, a defense state, and a dependent state. Okay, it's dependent on the federal government, which is dependent on the states. Okay, now these states are for all the people. All the people live in these states. They're private citizens. Okay, when Trump left office, he became a private citizen. George Washington wrote a letter to his friend. He said he left service to the public and became a private citizen, enjoying the quiet life on the Potomac River. When Biden's son was chosen to be an office holder over here, someone in the media had asked, hey, what about Biden? Is he going to be vetted? What about his finances? What about all this stuff? And she said, who was the press secretary, I don't remember her name, said, let me point out to you that he is still a private citizen. So he was not in office yet. He was still a private citizen. There's only two citizens of the United States required by the Constitution. That's the president and members of Congress. They're supposed to be citizens of the United States. These are federal citizens. Federal citizens work at the sea and on military posts, which are for defense purposes, defense with the sea. They are called officers and employees. They are called public officers and employees. They receive public salary. These are the taxpayers, the federal taxpayers. They pay taxes on their wages and income. It's in the 1939 IRC code. That's Internal Revenue Code. Now, the Internal Revenue Code has progressed, it has moved forward, it's moved on. It's become a 1950-something code, and then it became Title 26, which is not enacted into positive law. If you want to know more about positive law, see my other videos. Okay? When the president is speaking as the executive officer of the United States of America, the independent states, under the Articles of Confederation, because he's the president of both these states and these states, okay? Now, the federal government, interestingly enough, does not distinguish between when they're speaking to an independent state or a dependent state. That's because they can't speak to the independent state. They have no authority over the independent states. They only have authority over the dependent states. That's called exclusive legislative jurisdiction. If you look at Article 1, the United States Congress has jurisdiction only over the United States, not the United States of America. It's written like that in the Constitution. Go read it, Article 1. When the president is speaking to the United States of America, he's speaking in front of a flag that has no fringe on it. Funny how they wrap the flags around nowadays, and they only take pictures of the top. They put the top on the camera, his face, and it's part of the flag, and you can't tell whether the flag has fringe or not. You can't tell what kind of flag it is. You have no idea who he's talking to, if he's talking to these people or if he's talking to these people, because when he's talking to these people, he's talking to the military, and he's talking to officers, his employees, people at the seat. And that's a gold fringe flag. He's speaking as Commander-in-Chief of the Land and Naval Forces of the United States. These are the United States, which are states within states. These are the United States, which are states within America. And there you have it. You're here, they're here. Freedom, tyranny. Private citizen, federal citizen. Private citizen, citizen of the United States. These people are also taxpayers in the states. 14th Amendment passed in 1968 was to allow these people to become not just federal taxpayers, but also state taxpayers, because they wanted to use state services. So they couldn't use state services because they weren't citizens of the state. They weren't private citizens. They were federal citizens. The federal government didn't allow them to pay taxes. They weren't even allowed to go off post. They had to stay on post, but in order to have essential services such as hospitals and sending their kids to schools, they had to become taxpayers in the state, because only taxpayers were allowed to use services in the states. So in order to make the federal citizens of the United States, or United States citizens, also citizens of the state, they had to pass the 14th Amendment. That made them taxpayers of the state and the United States. And you're here unless you're here. If you're here, you're not here. If you're here, you can come over here and be here, but you have to give up your citizenship, or you have to leave the military. You have to get out of office. You have to leave office, okay? People with oaths to the Constitution are over here. If you don't have an oath to the Constitution, you're over here. That means you don't have a Bill of Rights. You don't come under the Bill of Rights. You don't have constitutional rights. The Bill of Rights doesn't guarantee anything to you. It guarantees it to them, okay? Because they have an oath. You're not an oath taker. You have all your rights. You have all your natural rights. No licenses, no birth certificates, no nothing. Okay, no taxes, no federal taxes. State taxes, maybe. City taxes, maybe. Federal taxes, no.